Hi, John. Thanks for coming along to the meeting today. I really appreciate your input on this project. I know that compliance is an area that you've got a lot of experience in, and I need that expertise to make sure this project will be successful. The catalyst for these changes initially was the advice we received to let us know that by the end of 2021, all BAS agents would need to have an advanced diploma in bookkeeping to continue to practice. We looked into this at the beginning of the year, and our current staff that will be affected have already started further studies. The concern is that the majority of them will not finish their course within the required time frame, and this would make us non-compliant.
Yeah, no problem, Judy. Compliance is an absolute fundamental in our industry. I've reviewed the new requirements already in preparation for this session. Perhaps you could start by updating me on the progress our staff have made so far with their studies. It looks as if we're about a third of the way through the transition period. How does that compare with their timeline for completion?
Well, we employ 3 BAS agents, 2 are full-time and 1 part-time. All, of course, already have their certificate for bookkeeping. Based on that, the advanced diploma requires a further 4 units of study, and that's where the issue is. Each unit takes a semester, and for our full-time staff, it's really not practical for them to take more than 1 semester at a time.
Have you followed up with them regarding the timeline? What are their thoughts? I always find it useful to consult as a group. A bit of a brainstorming session allows everyone to share ideas. Obviously, it's in their best interest to complete the training. It will be a requirement for their job soon enough. There's no point in us penalising them for not moving quickly enough. The best way forward is to consult with them, and then we can identify how best to implement these changes.
Yes, we actually had a brainstorming session last week. It's made me realise that I wasn't properly prepared with regards to the amount of study required. They're all willing to put in as much as they can. They're used to having to do extra tasks under their continuing professional education as part of their job.
That's all right, Judy. It's better to find this out now. We've got plenty of time to get back on track before the deadline. Now, one thing I thought of was arranging some study leave for them. You might not be aware, but it's something we can offer here. Perhaps a half day per week for each person. That would make a difference. The course is online, so they can study in their own time. You will have to leave it with me to consult with HR, but I think this might be the solution to our problem. What about you, Judy? Did you have any other thoughts?
Yes, I wanted to investigate recognition of prior learning with the college. That's something that came up in the session last week. You'll have to leave it with me though, as I haven't had time this week. I was going to approach the college to see whether any of the staff would be eligible. They might be able to get exemptions for one or more of the topics based on their previous work experience.
You'd think that might be an option. They're all quite experienced, aren't they?
Bev, the part timer, suggested she'd be happy to take on a second unit next semester as she can fit it in around home commitments. She's probably the one with the least experience of all of them.
Now, there's another area that you haven't touched on, and that's looking forward with regard to our recruitment policy. If all BAS agents are going to require this new qualification, we would need to look at some changes around these policies and procedures. That will ensure any new staff we employ will already have the right qualifications, ensuring compliance from that angle.
Oh, yes, of course. So that would mean we'd need to update our job prerequisites in the future. Oh, and I've just thought of something else. Our personnel files and employee handbooks would also need to be updated to reflect these changes.
Yes, that's right. It's good to have these informal discussions. It really helps to think things through.
Well, that's great. Now, one other thing, I wanted to ask for your feedback on how I went today in the meeting. I've not had a lot of experience with meetings and wanted to know that I've covered everything.
Yes, I think you went pretty well considering how little time you've had to pull this together. I am impressed with the way you met up with the staff first to get their input. After all, that's a really important step towards getting a good outcome. It's a shame you haven't had time to inquire with the college regarding the RPL, but we can follow up next week if you like.
Sounds good. And hopefully, you'll have a response from HR regarding the possibility of study leave. That would make such a difference.
Oh well, that looks like it's for today.
Well, I'll write up the minutes and email a copy across to you. We can set up another meeting for next week if you like. I can let the staff know we're making progress and we'll be back to them with an update as soon as possible.
Another good point. That will reassure them that we can get this back on track. It's a really important part of the process that our staff feel we have control of this.
Thanks, John. It's been really helpful to speak with you today.
No problem, Judy. Let's plan to follow up next Tuesday then. We should both have some more information to share by then.
Great.